In this module, we'll discuss the difference between a slip and a relapse, as well as predictors of relapse and strategies to support pivoters. A lapse, aka a slip, is where a pivoter has at least one puff or a cigarette, but may be still on their quit journey. Typically, pivoters get back on track, but may have several slips prior to fully quitting. A relapse is when a pivoter goes back to their old original smoking habits. They may have, at this point, given up on their quit attempt altogether. Some pivoters think it's a total failure and want to hide that information from you or their family members, and may disengage completely of the program. It's important to normalize that it may take several quit attempts before successfully quitting. It's also important to show empathy and help relieve some of that shame or disappointment that the pivoter may be feeling because of their slip or relapse. Now, tobacco use can be seen as a relapsing condition. Stopping tobacco use will result in withdrawal symptoms. Until strategies are in place to deal with these symptoms within the first few weeks, such as cravings, anxiety, and irritability, they still may result in a slip or relapse several times. In fact, over half of all relapses where users are not using some type of NRTs happen within the first 14 days. It often takes 8 to 11 attempts before a permanent absence is actually achieved. Now we're going to go through a little exercise here. We're going to start thinking about who is more likely to slip. On the left, we have Tiffany. Tiffany is single. She's 23 years old, has a high school degree, and rents her apartment in Michigan. She's also a cashier, and she smokes about a pack a day. Sam, on the other hand, is a little older. He's married and 56. He's a college graduate, but he also rents his apartment with his wife in Massachusetts, and he's a software engineer at Facebook and smokes about a pack and a half a day. Now, in this scenario, Tiffany is more likely to slip. She has lower income and education, so she has lower socioeconomic status. She's a female under the age of 30. She's also Hispanic or Asian, which has a higher risk compared to those who are white. Also, she might have poor health literacy, which also may equate for her actually having a relapse as well. In this next module, we have Zach and Sarah. So Zach quit 3 days ago, just like Sarah. He smoked 25 cigarettes a day, compared to Sarah, who smoked 14. He has a cigarette within the first 5 minutes after smoking, compared to Sarah, who can wait up to an hour. He's very stressed. He's having trouble sleeping and having some serious headaches. Now, Sarah, she's really bored at work, and she's also having some concentration issues, and she's got this tingling feeling from withdrawal of cigarettes. So in this case, Zach is more likely to relapse. Although they were both experiencing withdrawal symptoms, Zach seems to be experiencing negative emotions with lack of sleep and stress. He also, compared to Sarah, has a high addiction score, meaning he has a higher number of cigs per day, and he also has that shorter distance between the time he wakes up in the morning and smokes a cigarette. Now, on this last one, we have Thomas and Jeff. Now, Thomas quit smoking recently. He was married to a former smoker, but his workplace actually has a ban on smoking, so he can't smoke within 50 feet of the building. And most of his support system doesn't smoke. And overall, he seems to be very happy. Now, Jeff quit smoking about a month ago. He's married to a current smoker. He walks to and from work and stops for groceries on his way home. Most of his support system actually smokes, and he's a little frustrated at the moment. So in this case, Jeff is more likely to relapse. So remember from our previous training on classical conditioning, post-quit tobacco cravings are triggers by internal and external stimuli. Over a period of time, tobacco use was paired with a certain stimuli, which cued the pivoter to smoke. So in this case, he may be his to and from walking or going to the grocery store might have been a cue for him to smoke. He's also experiencing some negative emotions. So the 3 most powerful post-quit stimuli are negative affects, so like anger, anxiety, stress, being around people who smoke, in this case Jeff did, and then drinking or coffee or alcohol. Now, time is also a predictor of relapse as well. In fact, it's actually within the first year, users still have a 47% risk of relapsing. And even after 30 years, still have a 10% chance. Other predictors are low self-esteem, low self-efficacy, health literacy, as we mentioned previously, concerns of weight, particularly with women, postpartum relapse after having a baby, any psychiatric disorders, and any substance abuse. Now, social support is also really important and a really great factor here to help support pivoters after they've quit. Now, some people, there has a change in their personal relationships after they quit. So especially if they have previous friends that were smokers, it actually can hinder that friendship here. And so it may have drastically changed. Now, social support can be an effective coping mechanism with respect to how individuals are able to deal with their desire to use tobacco altogether when they feel distressed. So it's paramount that there must be some emphasis on increasing social support during or after cessation in order to reduce the level of stress during quit with respect to their withdrawal symptoms. Now, the level of stress is likely to decrease as the absence of time increases. Now, stress can be really anything for a pivoter. It can be received as perceived stress, economic stress, or even biomarkers of stress. Now, objective social support is the support from family members, friends, acquaintances, and those in the individual's social network, versus subjective support, which is the perception of individuals' social support that they are receiving. Now, subjective support that's positive can actually help the user when they're having some type of like slip or relapse. But if it's negative, like if their friends are like really critical or there's some type of emotional shame to that, and it's perceived in that way, that actually may cause a slip or a relapse altogether. Now, in general, men who are supported are more likely to have better outcomes in maintenance of tobacco cessation compared to females. And those individuals supported by an ex-smoker who are in a long-term, who are also have actually successfully quit for a longer duration, are also more likely to achieve a long-term success. Having smokers in their social circle, however, might impede them from maintaining smoking cessation. Women with lower social or emotional support are also more likely to slip or relapse. And when there's a couple that's in a committed relationship, they also have a higher chance of actually having that support system too, and less likelihood of slips or a relapse. Overall, social support interventions were more effective when provided in conjunction with NRTs and pharmacological methods.